when we thought about this segment, we thought that there are women out there who cannot speak. There are women out there who are not allowed to speak. There are women out there who are suffering because they have no voice at all. So I reached out to Amy Ichikawa, and she told me about the women in prison. The women in prison getting raped by men. The women in prison having their spaces violated. The women in prison, the women who are already as down as you can get, losing their dignity. And when they speak, they get accused of sexual harassment, as if that were a thing that somebody who is being violated could do. They are victims of a society that refuses to respect the fact that they are a sex that is oppressed as a physical being. You cannot overpower a man if you're a woman. You cannot protect yourself from a man in a space that is so small that you can't even open your arms from side to side. These places are detrimental to the women in there. In the Geneva Convention, you are not allowed to put men in the same place as a POW woman. You are not allowed to put a woman in the same prison as a POW man. But here in America, we are putting whole-ass men in prisons with women, vulnerable women, and impregnating them. They give the women condoms and tell them to shut up. Well, guess what? I speak for the voiceless women, and we won't reach. You know what it is like to already falsely accused for murder when it was really an accident that occurred while your life was milliseconds from ending. You get not one but 2 life sentences consecutively. 25 to life plus 25 to life. Talk about overkill. The state of California essentially said you should have probably never married the love of your life if you knew this love was an abuser. You should have violated the many codes of silence embedded in your psyche more than 25 years, sought a domestic violence intervention, notified your employer you were battered, even though they probably would have terminated you because being battered is weak, and had your spouse arrested to potentially serve one of the life sentences you are currently still serving, taking your children and other parents away from them and leaving affected families, friends, and your community pissed off at you because you did what California now refuses to do. Tell the truth. Tell the truth about what, you might ask. About being worried. They have demanded you serve time in a women's prison to rehabilitate, but now have recreated the same type of toxic environment, made worse. They criticize you for suffering in when you were a criminalized survivor of domestic violence on trial because you failed to get out. That's right, California chastised you for living with an abuser who didn't have a criminal history, nor was an abuser a dangerous convict. But you are still at fault for not working hard or fast enough to protect yourself by breaking out of the marriage before unseeable tragedy struck. Now California no longer criticizes you for living with your abuser, surviving domestic violence, living by his code of silence, or failing to get out faster. Instead, they want you to be happy with him. Embrace and hug him, love him, accept him for who his mouth says he is. Push him around in a wheelchair, even though he's twice your size. Braid him his hair, apply his makeup, fight other women over him, stay quiet when he rapes you, help him fight his bogus legal battle, and by God, don't try to get out to save your life and mental well-being. Be okay with the same set of circumstances that wrongly violence you now. Keep your mouth shut. It's the new way to rehabilitate. This is our foundation. We have played by all the rules, been extremely patient with all the ignorance and debated cruelty. We are sick and tired, and it's too late for Central California Women's Facility Warden Michael Polaris, the California Department of Corrections Director Connie Gibson, and the Secretary Kathleen Allison to make us feel important and safe when the male inmates have cussed us out, made us down on our own hands and knees and cleaned the floor with Windex, and stood outside the bathroom and showered while we did our business and washed our bodies. We watched him choke his girlfriend, who was our bunkie to the point her feet left the ground and dangled, swinging a heavy-ass chair past our heads to intimidate us, and threatened to put our heads through the cell window, demanding we not tell custody officers about all the violence he is causing in our cells. He flashed us his handmade boots, very inappropriate, and asked us if we wanted to see his man-made lower part. And when we stood up for ourselves, he violated his own code of silence and had us evicted. To add insult to serious injury, we found out the prisoner administration placed us in his cell with existing knowledge he was inappropriate with women, a sexual harasser, abused his girlfriends and other women, challenged the COs to fight, and hated the program. But put you in a cell anyway as a bet to see how long you would survive him. A busload of his buddies show up to the CCWF years later. This vicious cycle starts all over again, but this time exponentially affects hundreds of women. This time, you are told at least one woman is pregnant and the warden is hiding it. A woman is drugged and raped in the anal cavity, in the porta potty on the facility yard, while another post watch in broad daylight. Men falsely accuse women of assaulting them without a male inmate, without a consequence. But when you file a valid complaint of stalking and harassment against the male inmate, you are given the fabricated rules violation. Jailed in administrative segregation, that's solitary confinement. Evicted from your initial honor dorm you lived in for 8 years. Removed from your initial public affairs platform and endured other retaliatory tactics designed to divide and conquer women who speak. This torment is lived through every day. The warden works as hard as you to protect yourself, to keep the beg for mercy quiet, and the crimes concealed, the rapes uninvestigated, and the darkness covering every corner. Where this is a woman softly weeping because she remembers the days when we were forcibly commingling with convicted men from maximum security prison, mugging our pre-existing traumas, poking and prodding, reopening wounds, and sweeping away any chance of real rehabilitation because we are too busy trying to survive. No one successfully rehabilitates when they are in constant survival mode. Adding 300 more convicted men to the environment in an equation for inevitable female death, a life sentence. That's Tomiekia Johnson, currently serving 50 years to life in CCWF. I speak for the voiceless woman.